Well, the IRS says it is investigating the release of tax documents tied to some of America's wealthiest executives. Those details are at the center of an explosive report from ProPublica that reveals how Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos and Warren Buffett, among others, avoided paying income tax. Let's bring in the reporter behind that report, Jeff Ernsthausen. He's a reporter for ProPublica. Jeff, it's great to talk to you today. I know you can't get into the investigation from the IRS, but you established clearly in your story that this information is confidential. It is a crime to release these tax reports. So I wonder what your calculation was, what compelled you to still come forward and report this out?
Well, we think it's relevant information to inform, discussions that are going on around taxation and spending in this country, what the wealthiest among us pay. Of course, we focused on the top 25 wealthiest people. Those are public figures. They own large companies, and we think it's relevant what they pay in taxes relative to typical Americans.
Let's talk about some of those details that you do report out here. You've got a number of names there. We just highlighted the top 5 there, but I want to hone in on Warren Buffett because he did, at least according to your report, pay the least amount of taxes. Between 2014 and 2018, his wealth grew by $24.3 billion, yet he only paid $23.7 million in taxes, which amounts to what you consider a true tax rate of 0.1%. So walk me through what that true tax rate is and why that's a fair comparison, because you've certainly got a lot of critics out there saying, look, you're taxed on income, not necessarily on wealth.
Yeah, so our story is about makes a very simple point, which is that for wage-earning Americans, taxes come out automatically every month from your paycheck, right? And that kind of makes up the bulk of your economic life. For the people at the very top, the bulk of their economic life takes place in unrealized gains, in things that happen outside of the tax system. And Warren Buffett is sort of an exemplar of this. Berkshire, of course, doesn't pay dividends, and so Warren Buffett's not it's not throwing off income to him. And so his income for tax purposes is very low, but he's able to accrue massive amounts of wealth. And people can access that wealth. It's not like it's locked away until they sell it. They can borrow against it. You see sometimes in disclosures, for instance, Elon Musk had pledged tens of billions of dollars worth of his shares in Tesla for personal indebtedness. So we think it's fair to kind of look at wealth growth when talking about tax burdens.
I mean, in some cases, there were reported losses in income, which I think a lot of people would find quite surprising, just given how much these individual companies run by these executives have grown over this period. I mean, as far as I see, there's nothing illegal about what the executives did, right? I mean, and if that's the case, what does that tell you about the tax system that's in place right now?
No, nothing we discuss in our report is illegal. It's all very much routine and legal. It's all very much just sort of strategically planning out when you realize income, how you take losses, when you make charitable donations, and you can, using those sort of moves, you can end up with a very low income, and you can end up with a very low tax bill.
So we're having this discussion in the context of what the president has proposed, which is to increase the taxes on the richest 1% of Americans. At least that's what he's proposed through the American Families Plan. The top income tax rate would be 39.6%. Based on what what you have learned, in which the way in which these executives have sort of tweak their taxes, if that's the right term. What does that tell you about how much of an impact a change in taxes at the very top is likely to have?
Well, I think from what we've learned, when folks at the very top do realize income, it's often in capital gains, and there's proposals to raise the rates on that, and that would have a meaningful impact. But it's not going to change the overall picture, because if you don't take income, you're not going to pay taxes, right? So if you keep trying to grow your fortune outside of the income tax system, it's just not going to really alter the fundamental picture if we focus on marginal rates on income.
So if the idea here is to make sure that all Americans pay their fair share, including the wealthiest Americans, what would be a better fix?
Our focus is mostly on putting out information to help inform policy debates. I don't have any sort of particular solution for that, although, there's plenty of people who have proposed them. If one is looking to, raise more money off of those at the top of the wealth distribution.
Okay, and we should point out you've got many more reports coming as well, so we look forward to seeing that. Jeff Ernsthausen, ProPublica reporter, good to talk to you today. Appreciate your time.